All right.
Let's tear this down.
So you have an article here. It's called "The Venus Project Plans to Bring Humanity to the Next Stage of Social Evolution. Here's How."
I'm going to spoil this for you. At no point in this article, which is actually an interview, do they explain how, in any way whatsoever.
Well, no, that's not what the Venus Project is about. You know that. I know that. Anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together knows that. Well, but apparently Daniel Araya and Roxanne Meadows do not know that.
Now, I just want to preface this. 7 years ago, you and I stumbled across the Zeitgeist movement, and they had a manifesto out that we sort of went through and demolished.
And made fun of, yes.
Yeah. That's just... Made fun of is probably the better way to put it, but we also demolished it. And I guess we didn't demolish it because when you set yourself up for failure, I can't really take credit. I don't think I could have done as good a job of destroying them as they did to themselves. But...
Well, I mean, cults rarely stop when some person criticizes them.
Yeah, well, clearly. I mean... So now we're looking at the Venus Project, the website of which is basically a bunch of city designs that were drawn up by one of the people that is a co-founder, which is funny in itself. You'll see why in a minute.
We can draw things. Look at how cool we can draw things.
Yeah, basically. Oh, and we should also point out, I'm going to have to click back here real quick, that this Jacques Fresco that is the founder of this project has received awards from the UN for this project. So we can look at that another time and what that award entails. But let's try to find some information on what this project is and what it's doing. So,
or should we just? Are we just going to read the? Are we just going to read the interview? Or
yeah, well, let's look at the in brief here. So the in brief says the Venus Project is the culmination of Jacques Fresco's life's work to present a sustainable redesign of our culture.
Knowing what we're getting ourselves into, that's kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like my life's work. The world's largest aluminum foil ball. It's like, okay, well, that's a life wasted.
See, the video that came up in my Facebook feed that prompted me to look into this was, it said, this man wants to create a world in which there is no money. So, immediately I had to dive into that basket of joy.
Yes, because money serves no purpose.
And it turns out the guy's over 100 years old. He's like 101 or 103, something like that.
Do we even know that he's actually still alive, or is it one of those things where he hasn't given an interview in 30 years, but like there are still carefully crafted press releases coming out of his organization? Is that how that works, or?
Oh, it looks like this is posted February 23rd.
Like, oh my god! No, I just have this great image in my head. You ever play Star Siege?
No.
So the Earth Empire in Star Siege was led by this emperor who was like 500 or 700 years old, and he was just on every type of life support that you can imagine. And like, I'm just imagining that. I'm just like imagining that within one of these like ridiculously sculpted cityscapes, there's a single room that's full of tubes and like and like whooshing machines and breathing sounds, and then there's just like this desiccated husk of a man that's like suspended in a network of wires, tubes, and pipes, and he's just like, and now we will make all of the money go away, for money serves no purpose in this world.
You're going to love this interview. Yeah. It might be worse than the Zeitgeist Manifesto, and that was a train wreck of... Like, do you remember how we had to actually like look at it for a minute and be like, oh, they're only talking about people in America when they talk about giving people money. That's how they're coming up with these numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous on that level. So the project lays out a sustainable world civilization where technology and science are applied to redesigning our social system, with the prime concern being to maximize quality of life rather than profit.
You know how you maximize quality of life? Well, you maximize profit. Because profit is what you have left over after you take away the things that you used and add the cost of the things that you created.
Yeah,
it's like spinning straw into gold. The expenses are low, the output is high. Therefore, the act has high profit.
Yeah, I have to let you get your say in here at the beginning because, big spoiler alert, at no point in this interview does the project lay out any actual plan.
No, well, I mean, there's a plan in the sense that the plan is step 1, abolish scarcity. Step 2, step 3, profit. Or wait, no profit. No, quality of life.
It's so great that you haven't even read the article yet, and you've pretty much spelled out everything that they say. It's just like that Zeitgeist one.
Of course, it's the same It's basically the same organization.
It probably is the exact same people, but
yeah,
it's that same thing where it's like, and then this will happen, and this will happen, and this will happen, and they talk like they have a plan, but they don't actually tell you what the plan is. So you start to look at what they're saying. And they're like, oh, this is just communism. They want communism, but not really communism because they're talking about communism in which at some point someone's going to have to shoot people to make them do things.
So communism,
yeah.
Which is what happened in communism.
Yes, well, that's what happens in actual communism. It's not the promise of communism.
No one ever promises the head shooting.
It just sort of crops up,
Yeah, it's what is known as an organic development. Oh my God.
So let's see what we got here. Since 1975, Roxanne Meadows has worked with renowned futurist Jacques Fresco to develop and promote the Venus Project. The function of this project is to find alternative solutions to the many problems that confront the world today. She participated in the exterior and interior design and construction of the buildings of the Venus Project's 21-acre research and planning center.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you're going to love what she is. It tells you everything you need to know about that entire paragraph. But I like how she kind of... Oh, okay, so let's just dive into the interview. You'll see what I mean. So Daniel Araya says, Roxanne, you don't have to wear that dress tonight. But that's not what he actually says. What he says...
Roxanne!
Could you tell me about your background and your vision for the Venus Project? How was the idea originally conceived? And
do you know what LSD is? Okay, imagine something 30 times worse. That's what I was tripping on.
So Roxanne Meadows says, my background is in architectural and technical illustration, model making, and design. Right about there, I fell out of my chair. What this essentially says to me is that she basically needed to take some designs that she had made and get someone to pay her to build them, and thus the Venus Project compound was born.
Basically,
the 21-acre crap hole that is probably in some way being sustained through taxpayer dollars via the UN.
No. These people don't. I mean, I kind of think that the compound is not where they're actually trying to. Excuse me. Live the way that the Venus Project suggests they should. It's just a place for them to sit behind desks to posit that life would be so great if only people would live the way the Venus Project suggests they should.
Yeah, that's this whole interview.
So she's basically an architect, which means that she doesn't know anything about economics. So that's good. That's a good start.
Yeah, they make a lot of scientific misjudgments in this article. Going on. However, for the last 41 years, my most significant work has been with Jacques Fresco in developing models, books, blueprints, drawings, documentaries, and lecturing worldwide. So no actual research, basically. We are the co-founders.
Wait, does she mean models like mathematical models, or does she mean models like a model of a house?
Models of houses. She's an architect.
Okay. I'm just checking.
We are the co-founders of the Venus Project. Now that's interesting, because this dude's 101 years old, according to the video that I was shown, and they said that he'd been working on this since he was 13, and she doesn't look much older than her mid-40s, so maybe she's just really photogenic. But
it's just that when they say he's been working on it since he was 14 or whatever, It's more like, so like when I was in high school, I was bored a lot. And so I had like a notebook that I like scribbled like random shit in, and that's what working on means in this sense.
Gotcha.
It's like when I was trying to come up with ideas for Mega Man bosses. It's a lot like that, only probably less productive.
Yeah, and less interesting.
Because I mean, people like Mega Man bosses.
Yeah. So the Venus Project is the culmination of Jacques Fresco's life's work to present a sustainable redesign of our culture. Notice that they
giant ball of aluminum foil.
they keep saying a
No. The Venus Project is the culmination of Jacques Fresco's life's work to present a giant ball of aluminum foil.
I don't know. I mean, you could probably find more use from a giant ball of foil.
Wait, oh my god, it's like Mad Libs. We replaced the word with sustainable with giant, and we replaced the word redesign with ball, and we replace our with aluminum and culture with foil, and we just do that through the rest of the document and see what comes out.
We'll have to make a bot for that. Little Firefox plugin or something.
Yes.
But they're going to do that throughout the whole article. They're never going to say a sustainable redesign of anything like technical. They're gonna say that they'll do that, but
no. I mean, this is the Venus Project, as we saw it in the Zeitgeist Project several years ago, was basically what's the word? It was basically Keynesianism taken to the even further up level. Basically, Keynes said, yeah, we're pretty close to a post-scarcity society. And these people say, we're already at a post-scarcity society, and so what the hell are we doing now? And the truth of the matter is that we're still deeply within a scarce society. So nothing that they say will be any use at all forever.
That is what they say. That's pretty much why it reminded me of our old little bit of work there.
No, it's the same group. I think like the Zeitgeist Project is like a faction of
well, it is, because the Zeitgeist people didn't believe in getting rid of money. They believed in giving everyone free money to make everyone a millionaire. You remember, it was like everyone was going to get a $365,000 a year paycheck.
Yeah, but that's just tallying. I mean, it's not, if it's given to everybody, it's not real money. Like that's not money anymore. That's just tokens. Like it's like you go to the arcade and you buy tokens and you get tickets from the tokens. It's like, yeah, it's the same thing. It's no longer money because it's not the product of the transfer of value.
It provides no information via exchange.
Exactly.
So, in our view, the Venus Project is unlike any political, economic, or social system that's gone before it. Of course, we're going to find out really quick here that what they're really saying is that it's exactly like one that has come before it. But
shh.
Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Ixnay on the Oolog gay.
Hey, that's sexist.
No, it's homophobic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never been scared of other people. I don't know where that term comes from.
I don't know either.
Anyway. I think they just like to believe that other people are scared of them, and that's why they call them names.
It gives them such a rush to feel that they are causing fear in others.
Yeah. It's not true, though. Anyway, it lays out a sustainable world civilization where technology and they even talk the same. That was another thing about that manifesto.
It's the same group. It's the same group of people that read the same things over and over again. It's literally a cult.
Yeah.
It is literally a cult. Like these guys are even worse than Scientologists.
Yeah, no, they are actually. That's the funniest part about it is how quickly it devolves into this thing where it's like they say one thing at one point and it's like, oh, they plan on killing people that don't want to do what they're saying. They say that they're going to use science and technology to redesign our social system, which is basically a big fat way to say we think is's are equal to aughts. It's like, no, okay, so look, science and technology tells me that I can build a toilet out of solid gold or porcelain. Why do I choose porcelain? It'll be readily apparent.
Relative scarcity. That is why I choose porcelain.
It'll be readily
These people think that we live in a post-scarcity world, which means that they would that their science would say, oh, well, let's build toilets out of gold because And then they would say, well, if we build toilets out of solid gold, that means that we can really only, if we take all of the gold that's been mined through all of human history, that's only like a couple thousand toilets. So we're going to need to kill a lot of people because we're only going to have a few thousand bathrooms.
Yeah, that's
just not
how
work.
they get there. Actually, you pretty much nailed it. They come right around to that direction. Without ever actually saying it outright. It's just like...
No, of course they never say it, because that sounds horrible. The idea that you'd have to... The idea that we'd have to murder 99.999% of the Earth's population because we don't have enough gold to make toilets for everyone is monstrous. But this is where they're going.
Alright, so moving on. It lays out
Yes.
a sustainable world civilization where technology
Yeah, you already
and
got
methods
there.
of science
Prime
are applied
concern being to
redesign
maximize-
the social system, with the prime concern being to maximize quality of life rather than profit. All aspects of society are scrutinized, from our values, education, and urban design to how we relate to nature and to one another. All right, so they've just said right there that they're planning on mass surveillance of everything,
Yeah.
which A is next to impossible, and B...
Hey! Don't worry about it too much. I mean, they're only going to have enough iridium to make so many cameras.
Well, I mean, why settle for anything less?
I know, right? Silicon, that's shit. Use iridium to make your cameras. Clearly it's better. Now we can only make 100,000 cameras with everything that's been mined since the beginning of human civilization, so we'll just have to kill 99.99999% of all people so that everybody has a camera pointed at them.
It just amazes me that the non-monstrous people that read this and thought it was a good idea got to the word scrutinized and didn't, pause for a second.
No. I mean, the notion of reading comprehension is a dying art.
I know. We are so far ahead of the curve at this point.
To be perfectly fair, I actually didn't really jump on that until you mentioned it. I probably would have missed it if I was just skimming over this.
All right, yeah.
Because it's so
to be
stupid
fair,
in
I
general.
am going into it with the intent of being very critical. So
Yes,
yeah, I
of
could
course.
give it
So-
that. But there's other things where it's like they're clearly not explaining what they're going to do. And
Well, no, they can't. They can't explain what they're going to do because everything comes out in the red. Basically, they're like, well, everything's gonna be perfect, and everyone will be happy because we'll give everyone everything that they need. And it's like, okay, how? Everyone will get everything that they need. It's like, no, but there's not enough stuff for that. The human wants are unlimited. That I don't. Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, you could go through this whole article and basically ask how after every sentence where they say they're going to do something, and there's no answer, not a single one.
Yeah, I know. It's there never is. It's always, well, technology. I mean, it's the same argument that the technological socialists made back in the 60s and 70s. What was that guy's name? George Lukács or something like that? He said, "Oh, the only reason socialism doesn't work is because we don't have strong enough supercomputers." It's like, as soon as we have strong enough supercomputers, we'll be able to model the whole economy. Well,
That's kind of what they say. There's kind of a
I hate to-
technocrat thing going on.
Well, of
here.
course. But the point is that this is something that was said in the 60s and 70s, and there's a little thing called Moore's law. I don't know if you've heard of it, but computation capabilities have ballooned much faster than, say, the human population, and so I'm wondering why they haven't yet figured out how to fully model the economy and solve all these problems.
Yeah,
And
they
the reason,
try
of
to
course,
explain
is
that in this interview. You're going to like that.
Oh God, they do. Wait, no. An architect tries to describe that.
Well, no, they're not interviewing the architect the whole time. They're also interviewing Jacques Fresco.
Oh, the God Emperor.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's continue.
Yeah. So the Venus Project concludes that our social and environmental problems will remain the same as long as the monetary system prevails and a few powerful nations and financial interests maintain control over and consume most of the world's resources. In Jacques Fresco's book, The Best That Money Can't Buy, he explains, if we really wish to put an end to our ongoing international and social problems, we must ultimately declare Earth and all of its resources as the common heritage of all the world's people. Anything less will result in the same catalog of problems we have today.
What about the catalog of problems that will result from doing this?
Well,
I guess it will be a different catalog of problems, such as mass famine, mass murder, mass war.
I think they missed the
technological stagnation, massive decreases in quality of life. I mean, like,
they said they looked at every social system and they couldn't find one that was any good. So I guess they settled on communism. And what does he mean that the only way to solve the problem is to declare all of these resources common heritage?
Well,
I can declare anything.
It means that they're going to abolish private property.
Well, he says declare, but
which always works so well. Oh, it's such a great thing to do, you know?
He says declare,
it results in the best set of incentives for people.
He says declare, but he means ultimately force everyone to accept this common heritage.
Yes, so. That's what declare means when someone's talking with their state hat on. The state declares bouncing a $500 check to be a crime worthy of 1 year imprisonment. I mean, you know, it does declare that to be the case, and that is backed up with guns. Yes, congratulations.
All right, so back to the interviewer. One of the more interesting aspects of the Venus Project vision is its futuristic design. Yeah, he actually thinks that one of the more interesting things is that someone drew a pretty picture.
I mean, like, do you have any idea how long it took them to get the French curve placed just right?
Well, was it a communal French curve? Did someone like snap it in half and then put it back?
It was borrowed from whatever the thing where everyone. Only this architect has the use of that French curve for right now. But when it's done, she'll return it to a repository where all French curves are held in toto. And then whenever someone needs a French curve, they simply go to this place where all French curves are held, and they borrow one out at no cost.
They totally wouldn't suggest something stupid like that in this article, though. That totally won't happen at some point in this article. Just a heads up, they're not going to say anything remotely like that at all. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Say no more. Have you been approached by companies or governments interested in using the Venus Project as a model? Do you foresee I know, right? Okay, calm down.
Jesus.
I
don't know. You think? I think it has 4 letters in it, and the letters are short for words. And it collapsed in 1991.
No, we'll get there. We will get there.
Okay. Do you foresee experiments in smart urban design that mirrors Jacques Fresco's thinking?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and take that whole sentence and say, why don't you look at that real close and think about what you just said? Yeah, really. No, I don't see any smart ones that mirror that, no.
No, they wouldn't, naturally.
So, back to Architect Lady.
Yeah.
No company or government, as yet, has approached the Venus Project to initiate a model of our city design. But we feel the greatest need is in using our designs to usher in a holistic socioeconomic alternative, not just our architectural approach itself. So, she designed the city on paper, and then she just sort of suggests that they should also change the social economic structure, but doesn't actually give any indication of what she means by that.
It has to be holistic, which means holy.
As Jacques very often mentions, technology is just so much junk, unless it's used to elevate all people.
Technology never elevates... What the hell does that mean?
Well, it's the ramblings of an idiot, because first off, I think anyone that has the ability to think knows that there's a difference between technology for productiveness and technology for entertainment. And
well, it's not even that. Technology is a general category, and all people is a collection of individuals. Right? So like there's a class, there's like an object class error here. Technology is a general term, but realistically, what technology consists of is a bunch of devices, and each device can elevate a finite number of people. But if there aren't enough devices, then you can't elevate all people. But at the same time, does that mean you elevate if let's say we have only 100 cars and we can't build anymore? Do we use them or not?
Well, he would probably say that that they should be put in a communal box somewhere. But going off what you're saying, yeah, we use them. We just have to find out who has the best use for them, which we have a nice system for doing.
It's called prices, right?
Yeah, the price is right.
The price system is what gives us that information, because there's a use for a car which involves me getting into the car and driving around a mountain for 10 hours and enjoying the sights. And then there's a use for a car that involves me putting life-saving medication into it and driving it to a hospital.
And the reason that prices work, in this specific instance especially, or really any instance, but the reason that price works for that is if you've only got 100 cars, and you've got one person that'll pay you $1 million to use that car for a week, and another person that'll pay you 100 to use it for a week, I'm going to go ahead and say that the $1 million guy thinks he has a way more productive use for that car than the $100 guy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that out. Like, I don't think he'd be spending the $1 million unless he had $1 million use for that car. So yeah, prices contain information that's important.
He might, but we're making the assumption that it's his $1 million.
Yeah, I guess so.
Continuing.
Yeah, continuing. We would like to build the first circular city devoted to developing, not having, but to developing up-to-date global resource management and a holistic method for social operation toward global unification. So, why does it have to be circular? Just out of curiosity, I don't think they actually explain that.
It's because What's-Her-Face designed it that way.
Yeah, and
it's like a circular flow diagram in macroeconomics.
I get the feeling that City Hall would be at the center. I just feel that that's how it would be.
Can we have the Internationale playing from all the loudspeakers all the time?
Well, you have to. I mean,
clearly.
The city would showcase this optimistic vision, allowing people to see firsthand what kind of future could be built if we were to mobilize science and technology for social betterment.
What are science and technology mobilized for right now?
Well, they think not social betterment, so I guess Tootsie Pops?
Oh man, how many licks does it take to get in the center of one? I don't know, but the scientific method can tell me. I mean, it's one of these things where it's like, look, the Earth. I mean, I feel like I'm talking to an idiot, right? It's like the Earth is a large place. Resources are not uniformly distributed across the Earth like so much sugar sprinkled on a donut. like it's the notion, and then social betterment is such a vague term that it's like, well, what
betterment for whom?
Betterment of what social constructs, right? Like well, okay. So they're basically saying the same thing that every technocrat says, and what they're saying is basically that I have the best morals. My morals are totally the best. Everything in the world should be mobilized to realize my morals. And then like someone else is like, well, I have slightly different opinions, and then they just shoot them in the head.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did use the word mobilize in front of science and technology, which, that doesn't have any chilling effect at all whatsoever.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even make sense.
Like who's mobilizing it?
Do you mean mobilize scientists and engineers? Like, science and technology, again, are not like this is one of Marx's mistakes, was the whole, like, what did he call it? The process by which everything, the productive forces or something like that. I forget what the exact term they used, but it was like, the like, he had this idea that basically there was this kind of like spiritual thing over mankind that was like the productive forces of mankind, and like those always progressed forward and never went backward. The material productive forces or something like that. And this is the same fallacy, only applied to science and technology. It's like, you see, science is a process that can be pushed in a bunch of different directions, and like you can't study everything equally. You have to decide what is worth studying and what is not. Same thing as with technology. It's like, yes, we could work on building a better Furby, or we could work on building a better anything else. And like the question is how much better. I mean, and I'm not saying that we should spend zero time working on building a better Furby, but like we need to have a way to determine how much time better Furbies get compared to better medicine or better crop cultivation techniques.
Do we have any way to do that? Is there any way that mankind has ever...
I know it's going to be very hard to build a better Furby, but like, but I think that some marginal advances are still possible.
Oh, and
I'm sorry, did that answer your question?
It answered the more important one, but there was also the question of, do we really have any way to determine how much time to sink into each individual thing? I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anything just off the top of my head. If you have something, I'd like to hear it, because mankind has never been able to come up with anything that I can think of.
Didn't we already mention it earlier?
Well, I mean, I guess you could do it with prices if you want to keep money around.
I guess.
But that assumes you want to keep money around, and I don't want to jump to conclusions.
I suppose we wouldn't want to jump to conclusions.
So, this is a throwaway sentence. Not even a throwaway, so this is a hilarious sentence. I have not seen what is called smart urban design mirror Jacques Fresco's thinking. Thank you. That's what we're here to say.
Gee, I wonder if that means something about Jacques Fresco's thinking.
that he's too right? He's too cool for school.
Yeah, he's...
He actually is. You're going to love what he says about school.
Oh, Jesus.
I see smart cities as mainly applying technology to existing and new, but chaotically designed, energy and resource-intensive cities without offering a comprehensive social direction or identifying the root causes of our problems. Our technology is racing forward, but our social designs are 100 years old. We can't continue to design and maintain these resources and energy-draining cities and ever consider being able to provide for all the needs of all people to ensure that they have high-quality housing, food, medical care, and education. Smart cities within a terribly dysfunctional social structure seem contradictory to me. Now,
okay, so
I want to point out that this entire paragraph is implying that this woman thinks that they can redesign a city from the ground up, from scratch, perfectly, as if every other city that mankind has designed, every other town, village that has ever been built by man, didn't have problems that people tried to correct and then improved things the next time as they built up or out or some new things. She thinks that she can get it right the first time, and that is a major problem with her thinking.
Well, no, I mean, it's very simple. All she has to do is have complete control over the social structure, and then she'll be able to do it.
Yeah, it sounds... it almost sounds too easy. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe I'm just
complete control over all aspects of the social structure.
The best part about it is she's talking...
That's the only... I mean, it's a tiny, minuscule requirement, but there it is.
She's talking about taking...
It's like, oh my god! No, it's even worse, right? So she's like, society is dysfunctional. I need to be able to redesign society to act in a way that is productive and functional, which is exactly what Pol Pot said.
Well, no, she examined that system, and she discounted that one and came up with a new one, is what she said. But no, look at what she's saying here. She's saying that we can put science and technology, which aren't people, in charge of these things, and by doing so, they can look at everything beforehand and come up with the answers before they build something, so that when they build it, it's perfect. Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What is your job? What are you?
I'm a scientist.
Yes. You're a physicist, right?
I'm an experimental atomic physicist, yes.
You work in a lab, correct?
Correct. I work in several labs.
When you do your work, do you sit down at a desk, chart out the course, and then put the experiment together perfectly, and then it comes out and gives you the data you need, and then you can build your perfect supercomputer when you're done doing the experiment? Is that how that works? Or
Hold on a minute. It might take me a second to get this out. Fuck no!
There's no... I mean, I can imagine that there wouldn't be things like, okay, an instrument wasn't aligned correctly, and so you spend like 2 whole days trying to figure out what's wrong, locating the instrument.
No, it's not just that. It's not just that. the scientific method is a process for learning things that are not known. Since the things that you're trying to learn are not known, you can't a priori decide what they are and then build your experiment under that assumption and find out that's what they are. That's not how causality works. Like, this is wrong on every level.
So scientists aren't omniscient creatures that can adapt various methods to perfecting
instantaneously and costlessly to any sort of possible difference in reality from their predispositions. No, we're not.
Like I think it's like this woman took a bunch of...
Maybe if I get a PRL out or two. I don't know.
However, you can tell them that that's possible if they'll give you funding.
Well, I mean, it depends on how much of it I'll actually be on the hook for, but yes.
All right, so this woman basically took a bunch of rocks one day and set them in a big circular construct and watched it for 2 hours without any living creatures inside of it and said, "Well, it seems to be working for me. Let's apply it to society."
No. It's worse than that. Like, she did that and everything was fine, and then an ant walked in and started to move a pebble, and she had to stomp on it repeatedly.
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't even know why you had to bring that up. It seems like that
ant was a loose cannon.
All right, going on.
Yeah. We have the interviewer. Yes. He says, "My understanding is that technological automation forms the basis for the Venus Project. Given ongoing breakthroughs in artificial intelligence and robotics, do you imagine that we are moving closer to this vision?" Her reply:
"Our technological capacity to initiate the Venus Project is available now, but how we use artificial intelligence today is very often for destructive purposes, through weaponry, surveillance, and the...
Stop! Surveillance, huh?
Yeah, no, they say surveillance in this paragraph, and in this
is
very
a destructive
paragraph,
purpose.
In this, you'll see.
Surveillance is a destructive purpose, right?
Yes.
What did they just say that they needed?
No, they said they needed surveillance. They just said that, but they say it again. It's like this endless circle
and the competitive edge for industry.
Yeah, destructive question mark. Often resulting in technological unemployment. So,
technological unemployment is not a... What does she mean?
She means advances in technology that automate things for us so that people don't have to do them, and they can make things more abundant, more affordable, and cheaper, which is the point of this interview by the time we get halfway through it. But apparently replacing a worker at McDonald's is
technological unemployment has been a thing since Og made fire in his fucking cave. Seriously, technological unemployment means that people are learning new skills. That's what technological unemployment is.
No, it means that people aren't making living wages at McDonald's and are getting fired because someone's building a... Well, actually, I guess that's the same thing. Actually, they're learning new... Because they have to learn new skills, because otherwise they're not working, so they can't work at the McDonald's, so they have to up their game. So, in the end, it's actually better for society. And in the meantime, low-paying jobs haven't completely disappeared, so maybe they're not working...
Well, okay, so here's a point that probably is worth mentioning that's very obvious, but... Okay, let's assume that we have a McDonald's where there is a person working, and then the owner of the McDonald's changes that position from a working person to a kiosk. Why might they do that?
Well, I can think of two reasons. One, they have accumulated the capital to buy the machine, and it is a money-saving device, and therefore they can...
Stop there. You said money-saving, right?
Yes.
What does that mean that you are saving?
It means that you're saving the ability to acquire capital.
It means that putting that kiosk there consumes less resources net. If we consume less resources, what does that do to the pool of remaining resources? It makes it last longer so that it can be spread to more people.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. It's like. I mean, it's...
Less people who have more money because they're saving money on paying a worker as opposed to a machine. So someone somewhere can pay a worker to do something else that this person will give them money for because they need that now instead of to pay the worker.
Right. I mean, even just looking at it with which is like a net resources issue. The reason that they do that is because it saves resources.
I just want to.
And since these people are massive collectivists that say that things should be organized in the most efficient way to serve the most people, then they should be for this, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, people are so poorly educated about this that they don't realize that the reason that they can complain about not being able to go to college for free, the reason that even comes up in their head, is because at multiple points in history, people started replacing people with technology. That's the only reason that you can even say that.
Oh, yeah, so like now 98% of the population isn't subsistence farming?
Yes, that's... you don't have to do that because someone invented the combine harvester.
Oh boy, it's my daily beet ration. My favorite.
It's like this fear of technology. It's like it's not technology that really worries me.
You know what's really beautiful about this is that at the same time it has this massive like overextended expectation of technology while also manifesting all of the primitive idiotic fears of technology all at the same time. It's beautiful, and it's like it's a circular.
It's like a work of art, really.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I'm amazed. Like as far as coming up with self-contradictory methods of thought, this lady is a majorly wonderful architect at that.
Yeah, I don't think Naoto could have come up with something this contradictory.
No, it's not likely.
God, where did we leave off? In the
society we are proposing, nothing is to be gained from these behaviors because there is no vested interest. In our project, we advocate concentrating on solving problems that threaten all of us: climate change, pollution, disease, hunger, war, territorial disputes, and the like. What the Venus Project offers is a method of updating the design of our society so that everyone can benefit from all the amenities that a highly advanced technologically developed society can provide.
The method of updating the design of our society is one of the most empty statements I've ever read. There is not a thing in anything that they are saying that can point to what she actually means other than I want to control society.
Yeah. And then the best part is that she's like, everyone can benefit from all the amenities, except that we have to solve problems like war and territorial disputes. If we have to solve those problems, then by definition, not everyone is benefiting from all the amenities that a highly advanced technology developed society can provide.
Well, the people that would want to use technology to replace workers would not be benefiting because they just said that they can't use technology to do that, but they can use technology for everything else or something. I don't get this whole.
This is why the whole post-scarcity assumption is so pernicious, because you assume at the same time that like no one. You do things that keep people employed for bad technological reasons, while at the same time expounding the notion that you can unemploy everyone because we live in post-scarcity.
I see no problems with that. Is there a contradiction there that I'm missing?
Maybe a little one. I don't know.
Little glaring one.
Tiny little, just wafer thin.
All right, interviewer. I know the Venus Project is envisioned as a post-capitalist and post-scarcity economy. Could you explain what you mean by resource-based economics? Yeah, please do.
Moron architect. Money is an interference factor between what we want and what we are able to acquire. It limits our dreams and capabilities and our individual and societal possibilities. Today, we don't have enough money to house everyone on the planet.
Do you live in money?
God.
I live in a... Yes, if you're building your house out of money, you're probably running into some serious issues.
Well, I mean, I have a technological advance. They need to stop using 20s and start using singles.
You're going to put a worker out of work, dude. No, I mean, we have empty cities in Nevada that people just built because there was a lot of money in housing. I don't think there's actually a problem housing people. I think that there's...
Well, no, I mean, it's true that
it's true that there are people without houses, but
there aren't enough. I mean,
they're not giving us actual answers, though.
Let's make a quick comparison, right? Like, let's look at the palatial estate on the beach of the Pacific Ocean in California and compare it to a mountain shack somewhere in North Dakota. I mean, like there is there is a wide, and that's not, and like the mountain shack in North Dakota is still worlds better than the mud hut in sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, it's like, it's not that we don't have enough money to house everyone on the planet. The money is not the issue. The question is labor, resources, and placement. All of these things, right? Like, like, I mean, I hate to rain on her parade, but like, there are charities that work on building houses in sub-Saharan Africa. Like these are like, like the way that you solve this problem is not by, I mean, I guess she's just saying that but even if you build enough mud huts in sub-Saharan Africa, there will still be palatial estates on the beaches of California. Like, I mean, what do we do to address that? It's so confused.
Well, she's talking about a system in which everything is made in abundance for everyone, and she doesn't realize that this whole moneyless, people just have what they need because I think they will idea. If that doesn't work out, there's no one left to do charity. So you're living in that mud hut, buddy. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's not just that, right? Like the problem with assuming that you're. I mean, the problem with assuming that you're. Okay, so we already talked about prices, right, and how prices provide information, right?
Yeah.
So, what is a post-scarcity society? A post-scarcity society is a society in which the price of all objects has gone down to zero, right? That's what that means.
Right.
Right? So, right now, things have prices which, assuming that there's a limited amount of regulation, at least bear some relationship to how much resource expenditure is required to produce a certain object. So, if we just artificially, like right now those prices exist. They haven't fallen to zero. And so if we just say, oh, well, they're zero now, what happens? Well, misallocation, that's what happens. Because the prices give information. And if we just arbitrarily say that they're zero, we're throwing away that information.
Yeah, and really arbitrarily
this can't be
saying
said often
anything.
enough to these people. I mean, why do we have enough resources to accomplish housing for everyone, in the sense that if you could somehow mobilize all of society to produce nothing but houses, it would only take us several years to produce enough houses that every family could have a house. But that's not...
And what do we forego?
But yes, what are the opportunity costs involved in that? And moreover, what do we lose by forcing everyone to work on building houses? Well, we lose farmers and entertainers and everything. We lose everything. And we all have houses, but we are all dead of starvation.
This stems from a lot of people that don't really... People also don't understand the whole, the reason that we can have artists and, entertainment and things like that is because we have the capital structure to do that. Because we have accumulated enough wealth over time that we don't have to work in fields.
Because 98% of us aren't subsistence farmers.
Yeah, so
which was the natural reality for all of humankind 300 years ago.
Yeah, and the reason that she can sit down and doodle her little sci-fi cities is because that job is... She's able to do that as a job. Be an architect.
Someone invented the combine harvester.
Yes, because someone invented the combine harvester.
And not only did someone invent it, but some people came up with ways to build it that were efficient uses of the resources that they were able to sally forth. So efficient that the increase in productivity of the farmer using the harvest combine more than offset the cost of the harvest combine.
You kind of want to get a return on the investment, which is another reason that prices give us information. Like if they just built like all these combine harvesters and it cost the farmer money and his farm went under, then it...
You mean like in the Soviet Union where they built too many harvesters and not enough diesel fuel?
Yes. I think I mean exactly that, to be honest with you.
Yes. So they advocate a resource-based economy. Quoting the idiot architect. This socioeconomic system provides an equitable distribution of resources in an efficient manner without the use of money, barter, credit, or servitude of any kind.
Yeah, now pay attention to that right there. Without servitude. She says specifically, without servitude.
No, but
just keep that in the back of your mind.
She just said that there's an equitable distribution of resources in an efficient manner, without the use of all of the things that allow us to distribute resources efficiently.
Yeah.
like what is money? Money is what you use to exchange value based on prices, right? What is barter? Well, barter is what you use when you don't have money, or when money is not available, or when you're dealing with someone who uses a different money. It's you have to have a coincidence of wants, which is a double coincidence of wants, which is very difficult, but not absolutely impossible if the number of goods is small enough. Then we have credit. Well, what is credit? Credit is the application of costs to a time axis, basically. It says, well, I need $100,000 to start this business now, but I think that this business will be worth $200,000 in 5 years. Well, if I can get credit for the $100,000 now that costs less than $200,000 in 5 years to repay, approximately a 15 to 20% interest rate, then it makes sense to use credit to form this business, right?
Right.
Then we have servitude. Well, what is servitude? Servitude is one person saying, I have a good idea about how to allocate these resources, and another person saying, you know what, that does sound like a reasonable idea. You have done a good job of husbanding resources in the past, so I will take payment now in exchange for giving you the product of my labor and you reaping the possible but not altogether certain returns on your planning. And servitude is basically the notion that some people are better at distributing resources efficiently than others. And so if you take away servitude, which is to say vertical associations in society, what you do is you bring all distribution of resources to the lowest common denominator. Like every single one of these things, its purpose is to provide a distribution of resources in an efficient manner that is also equitable, based on what a person produces. I mean,
all of what you said is true, but you have to remember that she's coming from the direction of, we will have magic robots that will do everything for us. Like that is actually where she's coming from.
I mean, I know that, but if that were possible, I mean, let's say hypothetically that there was a blueprint for a robot that could do an arbitrary task, and the investment required to produce that robot was much less than its expected output value as a function over time. All you need is one such robot, and you can, over time, reach post-scarcity, right?
Right.
It's just compound interest, basically. The fact that such a robot does not exist means we don't know how to make it yet. Because once we do, it's a slippery slope. It's a singularity. This is something that science fiction writers have talked about, is the singularity of artificial intelligence. When will artificial intelligence become smarter than the people that it created, and then move forward on its own faster than we can react? Well, that's a singularity. It will result in massive shakeup of society because something will happen that we no longer have control of. It's the same thing as it's like a tsunami or something like that, right? Like, if you knew beforehand where the tsunami was going to come and exactly how big it was going to be, you could build hydroelectric plants for it and be like, holy shit, yeah, free energy. But since it hasn't been done, it seems likely that it is not yet easy to do.
Well, these people all think that it's some big conspiracy, that we actually have the ability to do all of this, and it's just someone somewhere is preventing it because it'll cost them money. I don't know where they get that part from, but it seems to me like it'd be pretty lucrative.
No, but I mean, I hate to say this, people, but cartels don't work. They frequently don't. And in the same sense, a group of people arguing that they can hide this magic robot technology from everyone and then somehow profit off of it. I mean, eventually someone's going to see the magic robot and be like, "What's that?" And they'll be like, "That's nothing."
Not a magic robot.
Not a magic robot. It's like, but there's so much that it'd be very hard to keep that secret. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
It's like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer starts trucking, and like they find a thing that drives the truck for them, and then they're like like laying on the hood of the truck as it drives itself, and like the other truckers are getting mad at them because they're gonna take away the free ride that they have, where they just have to sit in the truck and not do anything. And it's like, yeah, those kinds of secrets don't stick around for very long because the average person stands to gain more by disclosing that information or making use of that information themselves than they do by holding on to it and keeping it secret. I mean, we've gotten into this stupid rabbit hole 40 times already, so let's just go on.
Yeah. All right. So,
quoting the idiot architect, goods and services are accessible to all without charge. You could liken this to the public library, where one might check out many books and then return them when they are finished. This can be done with anything that is not used on a daily basis. In a society where goods and services are made available to the entire population free of charge, ownership becomes a burden that is ultimately surpassed by a system of common property. Okay, let's stop here. So she is describing
a commune for a start.
No, it's not a commune. It's something else, right? What she's describing is that all of the means of production are owned by one entity. That's socialism, by definition.
That's what she's describing. What she's saying is that everyone.
But then she's also saying that this can be done with anything that's not used on a daily basis. Which, what does she mean? Like, I mean, I don't use an apple every day, but like when I use it, it's gone. It's no longer an apple.
She might mean consumption items.
Right, but again, that's just basic definition socialism. That's state capitalism. That's Soviet Russia. That's what Soviet Russia really was, and not what it was trying to be, right?
Yeah.
Like Soviet Russia was trying to be a communist
they were
society.
saying that it's for everyone, but what they really meant is we're going to control it, and we're going to basically jail anyone that uses too much.
Yes.
Which, every time someone tries something like this, that's what ultimately happens. But c'est la vie, I guess.
I guess.